Hey there, and welcome to U Talk. We highlight stories from across Canada, the diverse cultures and communities living here, and individuals and organizations that help make life the best it can be. I'm your host, Ryan Funk. Cameron Robertson is a Cree speaker who values all indigenous languages. His goals are to teach his culture's words and language through the human spirit of storytelling. Before he was 8, he lived with his grandfather, a trapper, near Norway House. I talked with Cam about his dream to bring back his language, community, media, and how he became a writer.
I'm a writer. I tell all these stories in books. I write books and novels, and I'm working on a novel now, and has a lot to do with the Aboriginal history in Aboriginal perspective, I guess I would put it. But it also teaches you language while you're reading. I call it The Forgotten Soldier. It's about hunters, trappers going to World War One. And while you're reading it, it teaches you language. I have Cree words in there, along with, in brackets, I have the English meaning of the Cree word, but it's also color-coded. And it's actually a type of software that teaches you how to read the language, how to speak as well. I enjoy writing. I enjoy teaching my language. Right now, I'm a free lab tech at the University of Winnipeg, but things can change. I'm trying to go into business on my own. I work with theaters. I work with people building commercials, doing books, just teaching them my language and helping them along with some words and stuff. And I just kind of familiarize people with the language, I guess. I helped them. I helped a gentleman out with 5 stories just recently, and I wrote them into Cree for him, and along with the syllabics. And I love doing that. I love helping them with the language. Cree writing, called Roman orthography. It's fairly new. It was used before, but it's fairly new again. I'm still learning, but I'm from I lost my syllabics. How to read syllabics a long time ago, but I'm still trying to remember, and it's fun remembering because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like remembering all the techniques and all the things, and I'm like, it's fun. It's like waking up from a sleep, and I'm like, yeah.
It must be a really exciting moment, when those words and meanings and pronunciations come back to you after so long.
Oh yeah, and there's certain words that I can hear that I when I'm writing, I hear elders speaking. I hear their voices, I hear their words, and I hear what they're saying. Like they're telling me this. I guess it's my grandfather in a way, but I hear him telling me these stories, and I'm like writing them in Cree, but then I have to change the words into English so other people can follow. But I'm hearing all the stories in my head in Cree, and it's hard to make them into English. And I edit.
Isn't there like something? I'm not sure about the studies, but isn't there like shared knowledge through genetics? Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's called blood memory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like how the geese know where they were born and where they nest every year. They have that blood memory. They go to south and then they come back to the same spot. But there's a Marshalls built there, so they still have the nest there. Or safe, but just because of blood memory that these geese are nesting at where there's construction sites now, and where there's how would I say progressive or progression, and to them it's not progressive or it's not progress, but in the eyes of humanity it's progress for us, but unfortunately not for them. And a lot of animals are going through this. Like, there's a lot of displacement in this world right now. There's coyotes running around in these caves because they're hungry and they're coming into the city to come and eat the cats or whatever.
It's really unfortunate. I love watching David
Yeah,
Attenborough's
yeah, that's a
stuff and document, and one of the new ones, I can't remember the name, but it just talks about the wilderness left in the world. There's only about 30 to 40% of natural wildlife left in the
yeah,
world. Like that's so mind-boggling.
yeah. That's sad. That's like and it's only fading. Like look, it's only getting worse. Look what they did in BC. They cut down those huge trees that grew 500 years. For 500 years, and they just cut them down. Now they're now they're suffering heat waves and stuff. And
I think that's something that I've been learning and that we can learn a lot from our indigenous communities
Mhm.
is that connection to the land. Since the 70s, we've started seeing, Western civilization starting to get on board. You see the hippie movements and scientists being like, wait, maybe we should, like, be more careful.
Yeah, yeah,
But then you have the massive conglomerates that are like, no, 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 everything's fine.
yeah.
But your people, they've always known about it and about the importance of protecting the land.
Protecting the lands. Yeah, like my grandfather, like where I grew up out in the lake. I used to be able to see, to the bottom of the lake, fish swimming around, and it was just so clean and beautiful. Now I'm out there and I can't see nothing. Can't even put my hand in. I can't even see maybe an inch in the water, or a couple of inches in the water. Your hand disappears, and that's scary. And that there's algae and whatever stuff that are growing on the rocks, and they have all these snails that are evading. You know, and it's sad. It makes me cry. Like the beach I used to go run around to when I was a kid is no longer a beach. It's just I don't know what it is. It's just it looks like garbage. Like it looks horrible. It looks like a
Mm-hmm.
swamp. And it used to be a beautiful beach.
What sort of lessons do you think that us as the Western colonizers can learn from indigenous communities about protecting the land? What do we need to start demanding from our corporations and governments?
People need to respect life a little more. Like they need to wake up and say, today I'm going to honor this day by doing something positive. Like I today I'm going for a walk, and I'm gonna go take pictures, and I make flashcards. So I take my own pictures, and then I Cree flashcards. So, and
Yeah, to kind of spur that
yeah,
language.
so I'm gonna go take these pictures of things people are doing, and that's my thing of the day. And my benefit of the day, I would say, or my giving back of the day. But people need to do this every day, where so the world can, I don't know, balance out or be more positive, and instead of waking up and wanting to fight the world and wanting to kill the world, do something to benefit. People, they don't do that anymore. They just go and wanting to they just want to go and take over the world, and they should people should really want to just take care of the world instead of trying to take it over. And I see that all the time. Like I see people throwing out, garbage, driving down the street or whatever. You see a plastic thing flying out the window. I'm like, no, no, no.
Yeah, and there's like a whole conversation we could get into, about like social economic stability and how that
Hmm.
gives people agency to stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, at the end of the day, if we want things to change, our policymakers have to do
Yeah,
it.
they have
That's
to do it.
that's
They have to find ways to kind of better. Like I see that the Manitoba, they have this app where you can win money to recycle, and that's a good idea. Like they have contests so people can recycle, and that'll bring out a lot of people will want to play that game to recycle so you can win money, and things like that would so benefit the earth, because I see people with their phones picking up. I was driving down I was going down the street the other day or back lane, and I seen this guy with a phone picking out blue boxes and picking up, garbage from the ground and taking pictures of them before he puts them into the blue box. So he's playing that recycling game. So, stuff like that would benefit. On reserve, people don't really recycle because they need help to understand. Like they're just so used to, I guess, recycling. They don't recycle. They just throw everything in the garbage. They're not taught, but they should learn, maybe somehow be taught how to recycle, how it benefits the earth.
Yeah, it's a small thing. It's really too bad that the developers of plastics back in, I think it was like World War II,
Yeah,
in order to, preserve foods for the soldiers going over.
they ran
But they
they ran out of rubber or something, and they invented plastic.
yeah. Yeah, polymers.
Yeah.
That's the right word, polymers. These polymers of all these different types of plastics and items.
Yeah,
Like, they oversold recyclability. But that's a fun word to say. Yeah, it's really there's way other things. A video I was watching talked about mycelium fungus
oh yeah,
and how they can use it to make like containers, construction materials. Instead of foam, it would be this mushroom based material.
wow,
It's so cool. It's so cool. It's like, yeah, let's invest in I mean, when people say like, ew, it's mushrooms, it's like plastic is way grosser.
yeah. Plastic is around for 500 years, but they're fighting like loopholes too. Like they're saying, oh, we found something that'll eat plastic, but that's not. You got to have millions of those little bugs that'll eat plastic, but it's still.
It's cool in a lab setting,
Yeah.
not necessarily practical to solve our plastic problem.
That's probably made by people that are producing the plastic. They're probably paying those people to say that. So
Keep it in the media, like, oh look, we're not such bad guys. We're helping out. We're doing our part.
yeah. So yeah, this is like one of the big issues for me is like my people have to learn to recycle and learn how to like we used to when we hunted animals, none of the body parts went to waste. We used everything from the bones to whatever it is, the fur, the food and whatever. Now we have this plastic, so we need to kind of learn to kind of modernize a way to kind of like maybe use this plastic again or figure out a way to kind of like
Find new ways, and hopefully as relations between non-indigenous and indigenous communities continue to grow, as people continue to become more open-minded, and I think our new, like, the youngest generations, like Gen Z and those coming in, they're kind of on top of everything. They're like really socially conscious.
Yeah.
Like they get along, which is great to see, especially like Gen Z TikTokers that are reclaiming their cultural identity and like showcasing like indigenous culture and language on social media platforms.
I see a lot of those. I see a lot of. I think I see a lot of that. Makes me happy. But a lot of them they don't know their language, and this is why I'm trying to help them out. And like and dialect. There's people that are doing the through Facebook groups that are Y dialect, and there's some in the East, and I think I'm only one of maybe 3 or 4 N dialects, but I have a Facebook group too that I teach language on. So I have people from all around the world that are learning Cree, kids and whatever. I don't mind that. I think that Cree teaching should be free. But I was born without but there are people out there that are charging, to teach the language.
Well, when in a capitalist society.
Yeah. But I teach for free online. But if you want to buy my material, it's different. It's it'll cost you.
Well, I mean, yeah, some things have a cost to yourself, and you have to recoup financial burden off
Yeah,
yourself.
like I can't get stuff printed or made for free. I have to
Hmm.
pay them. So I wish I can, but you know,
I mean, that sounds like there needs to be some sort of programs and initiatives in there for indigenous speakers to, have access to material so they can teach.
yeah, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing all that curriculum. Like I do my flashcards. There's like 10 games you can play on those flashcards. It's like you guess a word in Cree and you try to figure out which word. And then there's a syllabics game where you're learning the syllabics and you look at the picture and you point which syllabics goes where, which Cree words. You know what syllabics are? They're Cree. They're Cree words spelled. They're a certain style of words. You can do maybe a little bit of research on them. They're Cree syllabics. Like I teach that format when it comes to language. Like I don't teach the syllabics, but I teach the words that pronounced in the syllabics format, and it's an easy way to teach. Plus, it's like people that have memories and stuff. They 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 uh, they they'll remember when they look at the syllables, and it's easier for them.
Getting back on track in terms of talking about knowledge, you're you're going through all this effort to reclaim and teach this nearly lost language back. I guess for those who are unaware or uneducated on the whole topic, why is language so important to the indigenous people, and just from the Cree perspective?
Like for myself, when I moved from the trap line to kindergarten, we went to a school. It's called Jack River School. It was run by missionaries, the Catholic missionaries, and we weren't allowed to speak our language. Every time we said something, or we were we were strapped, or we were talking. We weren't talking bad. We just didn't know how to speak English yet. We were just kids. But then we would only speak our only words we knew, and they would still go and strap us. And back then, we were told we were bad because of speaking our language. And I grew up believing this, like my language was bad. I would learn English when I went to school during the day, but go home and I would speak Cree. And this became my world for so long. And it was hard to balance these worlds, you know. But the good became the Western language, you know, and the bad was the Cree language. And this is what I believed all my life. Like my people back home still believe this. I walk up to people back home my age and I talk Cree to them and they reply to me in English. And it's so hard to find a Cree speaker back home because people think it's bad, I guess, because of the
People are indoctrinated into believing Western language and English is the only way to speak.
yeah. Like there's drum groups that are arriving back home now. The powwow people are singing powwow songs again, and we were driving by this powwow drum group, and my cousin says, "Oh, can you hear those people? What are they doing here? Like, this is not our way." They were because they were so they were so they've been the missionaries have done their job. They've done their job. They've made people ashamed of their culture. They made them ashamed of who they were, and they don't speak their languages anymore. And their Cree language.
It's very similar to what it's like to have an abusive partner, and you can't get away with them. Like,
Yeah.
You're like you're so ingrained with them at that point, but they've really done a number on you.
Yeah, that's how it is to them. That's I see that, and I see that back home, and people are like, "Oh, they weren't that bad. They weren't really that bad, but they were bad. We weren't allowed to speak our language, and we weren't allowed to practice. me, when I was 8, 9, we grew up. We left the trap line. We moved to Norway House, and my grandmother was non-treaty back then because she married my my grandfather. He's deceased. He died he drowned, I guess, when he was 33 or something. But my grandfather was kind of like a step grandfather. But he was a trapper, but we moved into Norway House, and we lived on a non-treaty area because my grandmother was non-treaty. So we felt out of place. But I went to school. We were treaty but non-treaty, but I always felt out of place because it felt like I didn't belong either on the treaty side or non-treaty side because I don't know, I was a trapper and I grew up out there and but come moving in into this moving into Winori House and then having to speak English at school during the day and then going home to speak Cree was hard and then and then when then we moved to Winnipeg around that time, about 8, 9, and this is the first time I ever seen McDonald's or how organized everything was, how the buildings were so neatly together, and how the streets were all straight. And this was a whole new world to me. Like my world was, I wouldn't say it's just all natural, compared to the city. Like even coming into the city, I seen all these rows of farmland and everything just so straight and perfect. I'm like, wow.
It's definitely one of those things like when you're taking a flight and you're coming over and you're seeing everything. Wow, there's no grasslands. It's just
Yeah,
a check bar. It's almost like a quilt. Like the whole land is just a quilt of farms
yeah,
now.
that's how I felt. Like I was like, wow. Like I felt like I was on a different planet, but it was really my planet, but it felt different. And learning this way of life in Winnipeg was hard because I experienced racism, and you know, I there was a group of group of us. We joined together, and yeah, we were called gangs and whatever, but we were just really a support group, and you know, kind of we were experiencing the same things and being attacked and being, people driving by calling us names and stuff, and we just kind of stuck together and did we hung out together, growing up in the city here. And
Well, you have to find people that you know.
yeah,
Otherwise, what do? You feel so alone
yeah,
otherwise.
yeah. And they all spoke Cree, so we all hung out and talked and made each other feel like we weren't lost, I guess. And it was different dialects of Cree. There was a TH dialect friend of mine from way up north, and then there was a Y dialect, and then there was another dialect from the east. But we all understood each other, and it was cool. Like different sounding words and different, but we still kind of understood. It was neat how we kind of just hung out, and we used each other for support and laughter and played games, and you living in this different world. Now we're all grown up, and I still talk to some of them on online on Facebook, and we still say hi and talk, and we kind of experienced the similar life in the 80s and 90s in Winnipeg, so we kind of talk about it and bring up memories and laughter, and you know, and we compare how life was back then to how life is now, about our youth, our us when we were youth, and today's youth is just, it's kind of total opposite, almost total opposite. It's like it has I don't know, kind of stood up, I guess. Before we were just like, we rebelled and we fought and we just hated everybody. We fought back with the way we did. When we were younger, we just fought.
When you have that anger and when your peoples have been like treated such a way
Mhm.
and you're treated such a way that of course you're gonna lash out.
Yeah,
Of course people will lash out.
but now today's youth, I'm like, they're standing up and they're not taking any crap, and that's good. Like, before, when I was a kid, I was like, I wasn't allowed to stand up. If I was to stand up, I'd get thrown in jail. That was me when I was younger. I was in and out of jail. I was caught in that system, but I really never really did anything. Like, it was just the cops that were always picking on me. I would be just walking on the street. I'd get thrown in jail for like 10 days. Just, they would drag their oh, nobody's signing out for. Meanwhile, I could have been released a long time ago. This kept on happening, but you know, but it was my way, and I didn't really believe in myself because of my childhood, I guess, because of schooling and whatever happened to me. I also have trauma in my life, but um, I grew up believing that I was bad because of what the nuns told me. I moved here, and um, like I was always negative. I was always because I was traumatized um, at a young age. And I lived a very abusive life. I was always believing that I was a negative gang or whatever, negative member of society. I could never hold on a job. I was always fighting with the world, I guess. And I would get all these good jobs. Like, I cooked for a living. Chef, I guess. And I got a lot of pats on my back, and I never felt worthy because of what I was told. But in May 2nd, 2013, I finally came. It finally came. I finally abused my last day. I had a spiritual awakening. I did a drug overdose, and I went somewhere. I died for 4.5 minutes, and I went somewhere, and where I was told to. I had something to give back to my people, and I had to bring it dig it up from the ground. They said, and so I didn't. I came back, and I didn't remember this thing until, I don't know, a few months, 3 weeks after. I was on dialysis for 3.5 months. I thought it was, I thought this was life. I have to be on dialysis forever now, and I was angry, and I had a tantrum on the machine, and but then I gave in, and this is when I first really gave in. I thought, I really gave into I started praying for real. I cried for real, and I prayed in Cree. I cried. I broke down, and as they were wheeling me up, I was shown what I seen in just 4.5 minutes, and I'm like, wow. Like, this was like watching TV in my head, like being wheeled up back to my room or being wheeled down back to my room. It was like a memory that was playing. I can still remember it. What I seen. There's no concept of time after we die. There's no for a while. What I seen. Like, today, I'm writing this novel. Like, I've never written in my life. Like, I've written before, but I'm writing this novel, and it teaches Cree and tells you all these stories that I've heard. I have maybe about 50 to 60 stories in there in one novel, but they all overlap to that one protagonist. It starts off with a boom in the beginning of the story, and it also ends with a boom at the end of the story. And then what's in the middle of this boom is his light flashing before his eyes. And I got 600 pages, and it teaches you language. And I'm a visual writer, so it's like you're watching TV in your head. So, and it's all about Norway House, where I'm from. It starts off in Norway House, and it goes all the way to Belgium. And there's Cree stories in there that my grandfather talk about the war a lot. Like he had his uncle who went to war who never came back. He had stories with him, and all these stories were kind of like I wrote them into. I'm writing them into the novel, the war stories, and they're legends, I guess. And it's fun. It's fun because I'm telling them in Cree, and I want the reader to by. I'm on chapter 45 now. The reader should be able to understand Cree now. So I'm I'm writing most of it in Cree, but I also have it in English. But it's 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 cool because the novel teaches you language, and by chapter 10 you should be able to understand or know what that word is, what 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 that word is, that it's highlighted on the book, so you'll be able to kind of read a little faster, and you can read it over and over again. It overlaps to the beginning, so each time you read, it tells you a different story. It tells you a different, because you're learning language. You're learning different perspectives of the book.
There's a movie. The movie is called Playtime. Kind of like that idea. Every time you watch it, you see a different story. Of course, there's like the main narrative going on.
Yeah.
But there's like so many things going on in the background. You're like, what? What is this? What's going on?
Yeah, but this is how it is. This is for as long as you start, like, you try to read it about 4 times, you'll be able to get the whole story and see that story behind it. But I use poetry too. I'm a poet, so I when I came back to, like, all of a sudden I was a poet and started writing, and yeah,
So it
yeah.
just kind of like happened
I've been writing.
after your experience. Do you think in that moment it was your grandfather and your ancestors kind of bestowing a wisdom onto you?
It felt like when they spoke to me, it felt like 1,000 voices all at once, and they all spoke Cree, like all at once. Like, how would I say? Like, they all sang it, kind of thing, and they all spoke Cree, like it was like in sync, like a voice in sync. And it's like I have something to bury. Like, after I got better, I graduated. I got my grade 12. I went to Red River. I took 2 terms or 1 term or 2 terms, I can't remember, of environmental engineering. I thought, okay, well, something in the ground, I gotta, figure it out. But it wasn't. It's language. Language is being buried in the ground. And, that's what I'm bringing back up. So, through my writing. I want to get into, like, I want to buy a virtual reality camera, and I want to set it up where I could sit and have a fire and sit with a bunch of kids and maybe tell them a story, and people can come and sit with me in their living room and, watch the fire, sit on top of this thing with me, and, I want to do these kind of things for our kids, so people can learn language at the same time. So yeah, so I want to use this technology for teaching my language.
The tools are there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you might as well utilize them in order to reclaim your lost language and culture.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm just taking, like, people are telling. I've been writing this novel for about maybe 4.5 years, and people are telling me, "Oh, hurry up!" But you can't. I'm remembering. I'm dreaming it. It's kind of like,
It's a very different experience.
yeah. And this is the way that I'm teaching. I love helping people with their commercials, whatever, with their books. I love teaching them to make them understand. Oh, yeah, this is, like, I noticed one of the people I helped with his books. I noticed his spelling on his Cree spelling is a little better now. So, he learned a little bit. I gave him a little pamphlet on learning like little lessons. So and
Well, it's a collaborative experience. All of this, like everyone like reclaiming language, reclaiming lost
yeah,
power. Like it's that collective approach that allows you kind of like the weaving of a
yeah,
net together,
yeah,
or like the weaving of thread to make a
yeah,
rope, twine to make a rope.
yeah. It's like the spider's web, you could call it.
Yeah, individually not that
Yeah,
strong, but together.
yeah. Like I am working with people. I'm working with other people that are teaching language, but it's really hard because of colonization. The
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to work with me. Like they think money. They think, oh, how am I going to get paid, or what's going to happen? Like right away, they think that they want to make money, but it's not about money. It's about teaching and saving the language, and they can apply for their own grants, and maybe they can get. But for me, it's free, and I'm teaching. Well, my my payment is my life. I guess that's why they brought me back. So you know, to teach this language that I love, and I'm just going to keep on. I've devoted my life to it, so I'm not going to. Um, I'm not going to go any other way. I'm thinking my next novel or my next story is sci-fi. It has a lot. Yeah, it has a lot to do with the singularity and language and spirituality and how technology and spirituality how they clash. It's gonna be like there's a meteor that's gonna hit the moon that's gonna lessen the gravitational pull of the Earth, so people will be able to jump far, and there'll be less need of gasoline. It's like it's gonna have all the cool stuff. But, it's just I'm happy that I'm able to teach my language through the storytelling.
Well, especially in such unique kind of context and kind of style and genre.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think there is a few other books out there that have the same kind of genre, the same kind of technique, but I think there's one that's a Spanish book. I'm not sure. And then there's one that's an Ojibwe. But I love learning that way.
How can people help support the work of this book?
Well, um, right now I'm at the University of Winnipeg, but things will change. They can look me up on Facebook, Cameron Robertson. I do have some books out there. My summer phrase Cree phrase book. It's called Nipin. They're out in bookstores in the city here. I'm not sure. I think they're out nationally too, like across Canada, in some other bookstores. But I'm not really set up. I haven't really set up my internet. I mean my website yet. But I'm working on it, and it's going to be called Ayamitsigetan, which means let's read in Cree. And I'm going to be writing stories in there. My novel is going to be attached into that, where you'll be able to read the book. You'll have the book in your hand, but it'll also be read to you online. It'll be color coded online. You'll be able to click the words online to hear them out, and it'll teach you the root word, the words, the adjective, whatever, how it could be used in grammar, stuff like that. It's a little lesson that I'm going to be doing online, but it's going to be called Ayamitsigetan. I haven't gotten around to building the website yet, but I am. As soon as I'm done the dictionary for the novel, and I have over, probably about 50,000 words, Cree words in novels now. So.
If you have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.